Want to land a coding job as fast as possible, even in this tough market, I can help you with that. By the end of this video, you will learn some practical steps that will help you start the process of landing your dream job. Let's get into it. Well, first, we have to understand the market that we're in. It's tough right now, as I mentioned earlier. It's tough, but it's just about the awareness so you can put together a strategy to what's going on in the marketplace. Nothing to be afraid of. It's part of the business cycles. If you work long enough, things are going to shift and change. You just have to have that growth mindset to look out what's going on, regroup, reflect, and then ultimately put a strategy together moving forward. And so now that we understand the market that we're in, two, we want to get into, okay, what are some practical things that I can do? All right, you can get into an intensive learning program, coding camp, some type of boot camp, some online courses, self-paced learning. So going back to the boot camps, I've seen individual. I've looked at thousands of resumes. I've seen some folks that come from the traditional, they have a 4-year degree in computer science, but then I've seen folks that had general assembly, through going to some type of general assembly, some Flatiron school or something like that. I've seen people that, uh, I've seen that they've had Udemy on their background, on their resumes. I've seen, and then some even have taken self-paced learnings as well. So there's many different ways to skin a cat. It's just about your drive, what you're willing to do, and it's up to you. But that would be the first thing that I would recommend considering next. Focus on. You want to make sure when you're going down that path, you want to focus on key technologies. Uh, for example, on the front end, there's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React. You know about these things. On the back end, there's Node.js, Python, Java, SQL. On the full stack side, uh, it's just basically front end and back end. Basically, you have experience with both. Back end skills, and then, but I'm listing out some specifics. But you need to make sure that I'm just giving you some examples, but you need to make sure that the skill sets that you're developing as it relates to the key technologies in an AI world, making sure that those are still going to be viable. That way, once you finish, there's demand for your skill set. That's the point. Next, now that you've focused on the key technologies, now it's time to build real projects. Sometimes you're able to land a position, an entry level, but if you aren't, that's okay. Build real projects, websites, personal projects, open source, leveraging open source, being a part of hackathons. I've even been a part of hackathons before. I'm not a engineer, software engineer, anything like that. So I don't think that I am a career coach. I'm pretty good at what I do. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. I've helped a lot of people over the years, and so, but that's what I recommend. There is build up your portfolio, get an online presence, create a YouTube, um, create a website where you could create a website, and we'll get into the strategies of it, but just to show your work that you can do the job. Next, you don't be a lone ranger. You have to leverage coding communities and the resources. They're in the know. They know what's going on. Um, Lunch and learn, some virtual, and then also I would even challenge you to even explore local meetups as well. That is what they do. They meet up all the time. There's many different groups. You just gotta go out and look for. You can go to I'm just going to list a couple resources for you. It's not the be all end all, but it get you jump started. Stack Overflow, GitHub. I'm going to mention this one, but just don't go down the rabbit hole on the negative side of things. Reddit, Discord servers. So that is what I highly recommend you explore as well. Uh, Next up is, in order to fast. So let's just say you've done the work, you have your portfolio up and running, you've been networking. Now you're ready to fast track your job search. Okay. Well, one of the things I'll tell you is target a startup, and maybe a smaller company. I know it may not be as sexy, but you can add value if you develop the skill set, and that can be your entry point in. And whether it be a FTE or a full time employment, that's what that means, or a temp job, or a contract. Your biggest thing is just securing an opportunity. Leverage recruiters. Uh, Apply for internships and junior roles. Um, Tailor your resume and a cover letter. If you need help with that, I can help you with that. I'm a career coach. You can book a coaching call below. It'll be pinned to the top of the chat. Happy to help there. Uh, but you could do it yourself. It's up to you. But and then you need to know how you need to prepare, because when you land an interview, you need to make sure you're prepared for that interview. And a part of coding interviews, there's usually a technical aspect. So a couple examples, you can go to HackerRank. Just That's just one in particular. And then again, if you're plugging into the community, as I mentioned, they'll be able to expand upon what's like the newest, latest, and greatest, that can help you get prepared. If all of this just seems absolutely overwhelming, book a coaching call. Uh, it's pinned to the top of the chat. Happy to help there. Last but not least, and you've probably heard me mention it a couple times: network, referrals, meetups, conferences, reaching out. Oh, this is a good one that I tell people too. I tell them to alumni. You'd be surprised, like, well, who's in your if in your alumni network, if you went to school, because maybe you went to school, but maybe you went to school for something else. Maybe you didn't go to school. Then of course there is an alumni network, right? So just throwing it out there for the folks that have a degree but it's just not in computer science. uh, Ask for informational interviews as well. Just don't call it an interview. Just say, hey, and if informational to you sounds too formal, and you may think that they may reject you, just say, hey, would you be open to a coffee chat, so I can learn, and I love to learn about your background, but just be curious. It's not an interview, but you'd be surprised. People know people. If you make an impression, before you know it, you find yourself connected to someone else, and now you're landed in an interview. And that's the idea. The more people you talk to, the more opportunities for things great to happen in your favor. And so, with that being said, use LinkedIn effectively. Don't post a lot of crazy things. Just be strategic with your time, making those connections. It's going to be a lot of people. Some may be rejections, and some is just people may just be flat out busy and they just might not see it. Don't get discouraged. Keep moving forward until you get what you're after, right? And so that's what I'm going to recommend to you as it relates to networking and referrals. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and remember, greatness demands everything. And you got it in you. Until the next video, peace.